Today on Locked On Rockies, the Rockies win their third series in a row. A lot of things have turned around for the Rockies over the past couple of weeks, but when you're looking for one big thing, arguably, maybe, possibly the biggest thing for the Rockies, it comes down to defense.
You are Locked On Rockies, your daily Colorado Rockies podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Rock on Rockies fans, welcome into the Locked On Rockies podcast, a nightcast edition for your 10th of May here in the year 2023. I am your host of the Locked On Rockies podcast, Paul Holden, bringing you your daily Colorado Rockies talk right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, where you can find your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by eBay Motors. A championship team is about each player being a perfect fit, same with your vehicle. So for parts that fit, head to eBay Motors and look for the green check. Stay in the game with eBay Guaranteed Fit, ebaymotors.com. Let's ride. Folks, the Colorado Rockies are riding a nice little solid streak. Not a necessarily big win streak, but 3 series wins in a row. And I want to highlight a few of the reasons, but I want to highlight, I think, the biggest reason, or one of the biggest reasons. And it was an example, again, in today's game and throughout this series with the Pirates. There's multiple things you can point at, from players turning their seasons around a little bit, from their first month into their second month, the Rockies scoring more runs on offense. But I want to talk more about the fact that the Rockies are playing clean defense. Not only clean defense, but the defense that gets the job done. The defense that comes up clutch in certain situations. The small things that help the Rockies win ball games. Over this successful stretch of the 3 series wins against the Brewers, the Pirates, and the Mets, the Rockies have committed one error. They've only commit one error in their entire this stretch of winning baseball, and that shows exactly why the Rockies are winning. The Rockies were throwing games away. The Rockies were giving up free runs. The Rockies were shooting themselves in the foot over and over and over again with bad defense, multi-error games where the Rockies were causing issues for themselves. When you go back to that Diamondback series, and when you look at, there's an error in the 11-4 loss. There is an error in the 9-1 loss. Go back to the Guardians series. The Rockies actually were successful there, but in the loss for the Rockies in that series, an error plays a role there. So it's clear when the Rockies play clean defense and when the Rockies keep the errors off the board, it's another way of preventing free guaranteed runs or free opportunities for teams. And how do you beat good competitive teams? How do you get the advantage? How do you win 4-3 ball games against the Pirates and other teams? How do you win, bounce back from those shutout losses that you experienced against the Mets and the Pirates? Well, it's not just offense. The Rockies have to play solid defense, and that's what they did. They stealing out against the Mets with heads-up defense from Ezequiel Tovar and Chris Bryant there on Daniel Vogelbach. They're able to catch 5 Pirates stealing. I think maybe up to 6 Pirates stealing in this series, and the team also gets a huge throw from Brenton Doyle from center field to home. Defense is critical. Defense is so important, and it is a crucial part of success. A big reason why the Rockies were so bad was because the team's defense. The team at one point was leading the league in errors. I think that's probably changed. Let's see here. Let's take a quick look here. Okay, let's see. That's errors per game. No, I just want straight errors here. Hopefully this will give me this. Okay. It's not in order. I don't know why. There we go. Now it's in order. The Rockies have committed 22 errors on the season. This is according to lineups.com. Now the Rockies are still probably within the top 10, but the Angels, Giants, Athletics, Red Sox, Braves, Pirates, Marlins, Nationals all have more. Well, Nationals are tied with the Rockies currently in the errors column. And let's look at the bottom here. Padres, Mets, Mariners, Diamondbacks, Royals, Phillies, all bottom of the league in errors. So it's not necessarily, if you commit errors, you're going to lose. There are good teams here that are playing good baseball, that are bouncing back. But it shows that the Rockies are getting better on defense. The trend, instead of the Rockies continuing to trend downwards in terms of defense and committing errors, the Rockies are getting better. And part of this is it's a move that's still a little that will have long-term implications, but you can't argue that the defense has gotten better since Ryan McMahon has moved to third base. Ezekiel Tovar has certainly been shown and showed his caliber on defense, and Alan Trejo and Harold Castro have been playing solid ball as well. So when the Rockies play clean defense, when the Rockies are confident in their defensive abilities, that is a huge flip, because it keeps you in games. It helps get you out of there, and it beefs up the important things that it beefs up and enhances the philosophy of Rockies pitching, which is more often than not pitch to contact. According also here to lineups.com, the Rockies have turned 37 double plays. That puts them within the top 5 of double plays turned here this year. Interesting enough, no, the rest of the teams in the top 5 here all have committed over 20 errors this year. Marlins at 41 double plays have committed 24 errors. Braves 24 errors to 38, Angels 27 errors to 38, and the Rockies 22 errors to 37. So the cleaning up of the defense is a huge key factor into why the Rockies are playing better baseball. They need to keep it up. They need to keep it consistent, because good defense, smart, clutch defensive plays are going to help you win close ball games like the Rockies have seen over this stretch. And it's usually a strength for the Rockies is defense. So it's good to see the Rockies go back to that and have been playing some solid defense. We saw some big plays, diving plays in the outfield as well. The Rockies defense has certainly improved, and that is certainly a sign of why this team has turned it around for now. Unfortunately, though, the news of the day today, and unfortunately, what you the Rockies could be facing another catastrophic injury diagnosis when it comes to their pitching staff. And we got to talk about that here coming up in segment number 2 of today's episode of Locked On Rockies. That is after I tell you about our friends at Sorare. Sorare is the place that is going to revolutionize your fantasy baseball experience. You've seen the ads on the TV. You see people. This is a way for you to buy in and try something new and get in. What's your favorite part of MLB The Show? Oh, it's getting the cards. It's doing all that stuff. It's building your team with the cards and bringing your that love of card collecting to the digital world. Unlike other fantasy baseball platforms, Sorare managers truly own their fantasy experience, collecting, buying, selling, and competing with player cards against global opponents to win epic rewards. What are those epic rewards, you might ask? Well, they could be Sorare scarcity cards, game tickets, merchandise, signed jerseys, and VIP experiences like meeting your favorite MLB stars. Head to Sorare.com/lockedon. That's spelled SORARE.com to draft your team of free player cards. Set your lineup and start competing today to win those epic rewards. Again, that's Sorare.com/lockedon. Sorare.com/lockedon to start playing today. This is the Locked On Rockies podcast, hanging out here on a Wednesday night. Not usually this late at night, but that means we get people still tuning in 24/7 Rockies coverage right here on the Locked On Podcast Network. Kind of. 24/7 meaning I get you a podcast today. We chit-chat, we talk, we dive into live chat. You can be part of the show. When you subscribe to Locked On Rockies on YouTube, you are helping the show. You can be part of the show, just like Joel DeGrace, 13XAM13. Are also hanging out in the live chat tonight. Let's answer a couple of these questions here. How about that throw from Doyle? Mwah! Excellent defense. I mean, and the new guy, Austin Wims, has been proven well. I mean, it's so impressive what Rockies catching is doing when it comes to throwdowns and getting outs at second base. That's not even, we didn't even talk about that in segment number one. The catcher's ability of the Rockies catcher's ability to pick runners off, to stop enemy or teams in their tracks when it comes to stealing has been huge. And it's as much as I believe the future of baseball is base stealing, well, that means the defense against stealing has to get better. And for Elias Diaz to be like have a 50, to be 50% on his throwdowns, for the Rockies to have to given up 16 stolen bases and catching 15 at the same time. Man, that you can't even, that is huge. And that's a huge way to prevent teams, especially a division rival like the Arizona Diamondbacks, from building momentum and doing what they did to you at Coors Field. Diamondbacks definitely did run it all over, and the Pirates certainly wanted to do that so they could jumpstart their offense against the Rockies. But great defense from the catching position helps out. And again, we saw it again today with the throw from Doyle there to Austin Wims. 13XM playoffs this season for the Rocks. Whoa, buddy. Whoa. As much as we've been excited, as much fun as this has been, and as much credit as the Rockies are due for turning things around, this team's got a long hill to climb to back to that. And this team, again, facing another huge issue. Forearm tightness for Antonio Senzatella, who leaves the game early. He only gets one start and gets this about halfway through this start before leaving here. So we are hearing from Patrick Saunders here on Twitter. Antonio Senzatella tells him that the tightness and soreness is in the bottom of his forearm near the elbow. He admitted he's worried. He'll be examined tomorrow. Tightness in the elbow, at that part of the arm, near the bottom of the elbow, Senza needs Tommy John. I mean, that's what you infer. If your pitcher comes out and can't pitch because of forearm tightness that is especially down towards the elbow, Tommy John is at the top of your concern. And when you hear Antonio being concerned, when you hear the Rocky being with him leaving and departing after 2 2/3 inning, it's got all of the signs of an issue here. This is an absolute huge alarm for the Rockies. Just when they were getting one piece of their pitching rotation back to being healthy, it could be lost for the year. That will mean the Rockies are even more desperate for starting pitching depth and will have to consider every option possible here. Reading from MLB trade rumors over here, the Rockies are already without top starter German Marquez. They've also released right-hander Jose Urena, and Noah Davis has been on the injured list due to inflammation in the right elbow. If Senza misses any time, the Rockies rotation will be down to Kyle Freeland, Austin Gomber, Ryan Feltner, and Connor Siebold. Peter Lambert certainly going to be an option for sure. The Rockies are gonna have to do something. The Rockies are going to be active on the waiver wire. The Rockies are going to have to go look for a free agent. They cannot. Unless they're going 4-man rotation, which I highly doubt is the plan, because I doubt that they're going to bring Peter Lambert back into the starting role sooner at this point in time. I think they're going to continue to use Peter Lambert for a long relief and to continue to build him up after his injuries, and hopefully they can get him back and running for the long term versus something that they just need to fill in for this season. Some interesting points here again from MLB trade rumors. Available options outside the organization are few and far between, though a handful of veteran arms were recently designated for assignment. The Rays designated Chase Anderson, Luis Cessa, and Chase DeYoung were designated by the Reds and Pirates. And, of course, Madison Bumgarner still lurking. Michael Pineda, Chris Archer, Mike Minor, Dallas Keuchel, all also still free agents, but would need some time to ramp up as well. Tough, man. This is tough. This is a moment for the Rockies that is going to prove very hard to overcome. This is a team that has basically exhausted almost every option they have when it comes to replenishing starting pitching depth at this moment. So the fallout of this is going to be the Rockies having to make a move, freeing some roster space, doing this, that, and the other thing. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Senza, it is just a little thing. Maybe something like that. It'll work out. But the warning signs for Senza are all there, and it would be a really tough blow for Senza. You'd have to really feel bad for Antonio Senzatella if right after he recovers from his ACL, he is now given Tommy John. He has to deal with Tommy John. Two incredibly long recovery processes that have drastic impacts on your career. And Senza was, looking to be efficient and look to be effective for the Rockies there, even in that limited amount of time that we saw him. So the injury to Antonio Senzatella is going to push this team into you have no other choice but to make a move. You have no other choice but to go out and get someone. And I mean, again, this makes the likelihood of a possible Madison Bumgarner or any of those other free agents or DFA'd players that we talked about a possibility, absolutely. But because it's going to be hard, even I think, to convince some of these free agents, hey, you want to bounce back? Come pitch in Colorado for a team that is playing good now, but wasn't so great to start the season. The chat said this multiple times. Julio Teheran, there is who they are. Some hope for the Rockies, but we'll have to see. I mean, this would have to be again, the Braves probably are someone that is going to be a little bit more difficult to trade with, especially for a guy that has actually he's in the minor league system currently for the Padres. So not doing anything. So certainly could be an option. But that would now require a trade since he does have a minor league contract that he signed there with the Padres. So not so easy as to just go and get him. But again, to recap here from Patrick Saunders, Antonio Senzatella tells me that the tightness and soreness is in the bottom of his right forearm. Again, tells Patrick Saunders, not me. Is in the bottom of his right forearm near the elbow. He admitted he's worried. He'll be examined tomorrow. Prepare for the worst when it comes to that diagnosis is all I can say. Warning signs certainly there. Rockies have handled the injuries so far, but as this season goes on, again, this is going to be kind of an issue for the Rockies going forward. The starting rotation continues to be the big question mark, but the starters so far have been able to manage here and there, manage of late. Again, Rockies, very solid ball. I believe over their last 10, the Rockies are 8-2 here for the Rockies here. We're currently, let me double check my math on that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Indeed, the Rockies are 8-2 over their last 10. They are now in Philly, or back home, I guess I should say, against Philly and Cincinnati coming up here for a nice homestand, day off for the Rocks tomorrow. Let's take a look ahead. Let's take a look at what worked in the Pirates series as well as we head to segment number 3 of the nightcap edition of Locked On Rockies. That's all coming up and so much more on today's episode. Want to thank you for making Locked On Rockies your first listen of the day. I know today was late and hard to make it your first listen if you indeed waited until late tonight to listen to anything, because you can't listen to anything first other than Locked On Rockies. I appreciate you. But if you made time to listen to us tonight, if you make time to listen to us on your drive in tomorrow morning, appreciate that as well. Sometimes the schedule gets a little wacky and, we just got to roll with it around here. But while we are concerned about the removal of Antonio Senzatella, and while we have highlighted the great improvements on defense that the Rockies have made leading to this 8-2 run, we can't neglect the fact that the Rockies are getting it done when it comes to hitting, and the Rockies getting it done in a close game today. My favorite thing about watching the game today was the Rockies navigated multiple high-leverage situations and got out of them without giving up the big inning. The Pirates certainly had multiple opportunities and chances to blow this game open, especially when they take a 3-0 lead there after 3 innings, and the Rockies are losing their starter much earlier in the game than they anticipated. However, the Rockies are able to do things, chip away slowly but surely to just do the right things, getting on base and driving in runs. And that goes to show it. Jerks and Profar with the hit, Crone with the hit, Grichuk with the hit, McMahon with the hit, Wins with the hit, Trejo with 2 hits, Doyle, unfortunately, no hits. But then Charlie Blackmon comes in, gets a hit, as well as a walk there for him. Good, clean, pick-me-up baseball. That's exactly how the Rockies have been winning lately. It's what was so impressive, especially of this stretch, was it was on the road. This team struggles mightily on the road, has struggled a ton on the road historically. And it didn't really start off this year as anything different when this team went on the road. This is a team that certainly had opportunities in Philly, but didn't handle business. But they were able to win a series against the Guardians. Then they were able to come and now this team has won 3 straight series on the road. Something you don't get to say very often about the Colorado Rockies is their success on the road. That's a big change. Winning 3 straight series on the road, I mean, that's something you have not been able to say about the Rockies, I don't think, in 2-3 seasons. This team does not play good, consistent baseball out on the road, but that is key to the turnaround right now. Rockies are still 6 games below 500, still in last place in the NL West, still have a ton of work to do. But just like cleaning things up on the defense, making yourself a threat and going out on the road and the ability to not only win games, but score runs and win the close game. Those are all 3 things that the Rockies don't usually do on the road. So that's massive. That's a great sign. When you're looking for the big things and what's working for the Rockies right now is this team is not dreading the road. This is a team that doesn't sit there and it doesn't seem like it's buying fully into just a Coors Field to splits, because this team's playing much better on the road than it is at home currently. Something that's crazy. That's usually a crazy thing to say for the Rockies. But every successful Rockies season, and I know this isn't a crazy take, but every successful Rockies season also means success on the road. So, while it might not pan out for much during this season, if the Rockies can continue to be a strong road team throughout this season, winning series, playing good ball, stealing some games here and there, that's a great sign. That's a sign that the curse of the road, especially of the past 2 seasons especially, is improving, and that this team is making an adjustment, is getting better outside of Coors Field, which is going to be massive for the success of this team going forward. This great to good stretch of Rockies baseball continues. It's going to be again tested, and the Rockies are going to have opportunities to continue this stretch because it's not as threatening. This next stretch of ball, at least the next 2 series, you feel a little bit better. But when you see Texas, Miami, New York, Arizona, that's a little bit tougher. Miami is a sneaky good team, and is a team that's always played the Rockies well. Mets looking for some revenge, certainly, and Texas has played very, very well to start this season. So Philly, still a team trying to organize things, but they just got a heck of a lot better. They're on a win streak as well. So if the Rockies want to continue, it's time to start handling business at home now. Take that momentum, take this all, and let's have the best homestand of the season. You know, you swept the Brewers, now do it again, or at least beat the Phillies at home and take down the Reds as well. You win these series. You win these 2 series here. Rockies currently 6 games below 500. Rockies have 6 games against, the Rockies, if they go 500 at home, or if they go above 500, they're only 3-4 games out of a spot there. So or out of 500, I should say. So certainly options, opportunity, possibilities for the Rockies to continue to go and to get better, but the challenge is going to be awaiting them again. This is another stretch of the season where if the Rockies are to show that things are really turning around, that this team is as competitive as they're leading us to believe, or at least the front office is leading us to believe, you got to continue to beat the bad teams, continue to beat these teams in their own ballpark, but then again, take it on and make it so the Rockies are the threat at home. FNL Aviator says, my take also is have that mentality where it's like, we have nothing to lose because we have seen the worst and it can't get any worse than projected. So why not play and have fun when we can? I think the Rockies are playing a much more loose baseball, a much more relaxed baseball, and that leads to a much more confident baseball and a successful game. This is a Rockies team that is starting to meld, to gel a little bit, to build some relationships, and we're seeing production as a result of that. Folks, off day for the Rockies. Tomorrow we'll be continuing to preview things, continuing to break down all things Colorado Rockies, so don't miss out on all the fun. Subscribe to Locked On Rockies. Be part of the live chat, just like Joel DeGrace, 13XM13, and FNL Aviator tonight. Subscribe to the Locked On Rockies YouTube channel. Be part of the show. Follow all your favorite Colorado sports with the Locked On Buffs, Locked On Avalanche, Locked On Nuggets, and did I miss Locked On Ass? I think I got everybody. Nuggets, Broncos, Avs, Buffs, everybody. They got it covered on the Locked On Podcast Network. Folks, until next time, this has been Paul Holden, and this is the Locked On Rockies Podcast.